The college football experience, Iowa Hawkeyes 2024 season preview episode of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their brand new Pick 8. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football and college basketball. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN.
This is Jim Mora, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Iowa Hawkeyes. Frywa, Hayden Fry, baby. Let's go. YouTube.com/the college experience. Look, I mean, the Iowa Hawkeyes 2024 season preview. You know, I love me some Iowa Hawkeye football. Excited to talk about it all. We're in studio for this one. Get on over there. Like I said, YouTube.com/the college experience. And shout out to the chat. You can jump in. I see Timothy Green, Jeff Sharp, Casey Hightower already all in there. And look, I appreciate Casey's. No other way I'd rather spend my July 3rd night. There you go, because we got freedom on the horizon.
Casey Hightower is an all-American son of a bitch.
You got the freedom. You got the birth date of freedom on the horizon, but you also have Iowa football, which I absolutely love. Shout out to Fat Mr. Met. Don't know how Iowa has become tight end university when their punters pin the opponent inside the 10-yard line 15 times a game. Punter lives matter too. We love Iowa football. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, we're going to break it all down, by the way. But if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swing It, Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
I do love the Iowa Hawkeyes, all right? I love what they're about, all right? And look, still mad at Ronnie Harmon for that Rose Bowl when he was
probably the best year ever. That Iowa versus Michigan game from, what is that, the 1985 season?
Yeah.
That was epic. That was probably the peak moment in Iowa football history, right? I mean, they've had some good ones under Ferentz, but Hayden
please
Fry,
don't insult me on this program.
What would you say the peak moment in Iowa football history is?
Well, in 1896, they did go 7-1-1. All right. They also went undefeated in 1900 and 1899. All right. Nice 2-year stretch without losing a game. All right. But we're going to talk about it all. The offense, defense. They also had 1921, 1922 undefeated seasons,
14
right?
straight, 2 straight undefeated seasons.
That's what I'm saying. 56, they were 9-1, won the Rose Bowl, right?
This
in
is
58,
back when
they only lost 1 game, won the Rose Bowl.
This is back when the Big Ten was the Western Conference. Michigan claims to be the champions of the West. It turns out Iowa was the real champions of the West back
in
then.
60, they only lost a game, tied for first place. They didn't give them the Rose Bowl and some bullshit cockamamie stuff. All right. And then Hayden Fry walks in at 79 and he changes the whole damn thing. In 91, they only lost 1 game in 91, buddy.
Crazy.
Look. And then they go from Fry to Ferentz. Patty C. They've only had 2 coaches since 1979. All right. That is stability.
That is stability.
And I'm joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C. The place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get it going, man. You gotta play Tecmo Bowl. You gotta think about Marv Cook. You know what I mean? You got to think about Andre Tippett, Chuck Long back in the day, and Ronnie Harmon.
Dead space.
Ronnie Harmon's a blemish, though. He's one of those ones where you look back, you're angry at it.
Are you proud of? I'll give Ronnie Harmon some credit. I do believe that he's the guy
that he was bought and paid for.
Well,
right?
yeah, but in the 1994 Super Bowl, I believe he was the guy that drilled Deion Sanders after he made the interception. That was kind of enjoyable. Deion was a big trash talker back then, so credit to Ronnie Harmon.
Look, I mean, he had that visor. It looked very cool back in the day. But enough about Ronnie Harmon. Let's talk about these Hawkeyes. But before we do that, I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience, Iowa Hawkeyes season preview, we're part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the latest episode of SGP Stories is out on Patreon. And the guys, myself, Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer, do a forensic file style deep dive on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle accident that cost him his job in 2012 there at Fayetteville, Arkansas. I may or may not be wearing a neck brace and an Arkansas jacket and a Sugar Bowl hat, but you're going to see. Plus, make sure to check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast, as Terrell and Scott have started out with their red hot locks this season. Check it all out on SGPN. All right, we are back talking Iowa Hawkeyes football. First off, I did cash my over last year. It's my lock, one of my locks. What
was the number last year?
I think it was 8, 7.5.
Smash that.
I didn't pull that up pre-episode, but I know I made money on it. I know it hit because that's what they do, Patty C.
That is what they do.
And and the world's not cool with it. One of the things I hate about living in 2023 and 24 is the amount of ridicule Iowa gets every single season. And they fire Brian Ferentz.
Yeah, I mean,
they're 28-14 over the past 3 seasons. You don't need to fire anybody. All right.
We've already seen this with a supposed rival of theirs.
Yeah.
In Nebraska, who the fans, winning wasn't enough. Apparently, they wanted to be fancy. They wanted to be hot shot.
That's what I'm saying. As much as I love Coach Leach, friend of the program, Mike Leach, may he rest in peace. And I love what he did for the sport of football. But at the same time, I also, in one way, I think of it like every idiot thinks like that you should be scoring 45 points every game. Because look, when Cliff Kingsbury was at Texas Tech, they were probably averaging 45 points, but they were going fucking 4-8 every year.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The sport adjusted to that, and now. Look, the national champion is Michigan.
Yes.
They are Iowa,
basically
2.0.
Iowa.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing.
Iowa's quarterback from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa has Michigan's quarterback.
And vice versa. I think Michigan a couple years ago grabbed Iowa's quarterback.
That's right. Forget his name.
I do like, so Brian Ferentz obviously fired in a way or pushed out the door. Understandable. Their offense was horrible, but they also had a shit ton of injuries. Their starting quarterback only played 4 games. You know what I mean? Luke Lachey, a first-round tight end pick. He's back, but he's projected to go in the first round last year. Son of Jim Lachey, great Washington Redskin, won a Super Bowl championship there. Those 2 guys were huge pieces of the offense. They were out for the year.
All as well. Wait, you said it was Lachey and
McNamara only played 4 games.
Yeah. Yeah, that was massive.
They won 10 games.
Yeah,
with
Deacon Hill at the helm. That's incredible.
But look, they go out and they bring in I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. The kid from Tim Lester played quarterback at Western Michigan. I'm that old where I remember him playing quarterback at Western Michigan. But I do think this offense will step it up a little bit. But
kid, he's 47 years old.
I'm a kid. Yeah. All right.
In our own minds.
Yeah, dude, I remember watching Maction when he was the quarterback of Western Michigan.
It's fucking awesome.
It sucks that I'm this old. All right. But where are you at with Kirk Ferentz, Patty C? Where do you put him in the realm of best coaches in the nation? Because one of the things I laugh at nonstop is the amount of people that just, when you see coach rankings, I laugh at a lot of publications that don't have him in like their top 10. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that he's not in their top. Like I saw one this summer that had him at 38th in the nation.
That's really bad. I mean, AP tops postseason top 25 5 out of the last 6 seasons. And he was 8-5 in the one year they didn't finish in the top 25. It's not like he laid a clunker, but he's a top 25 coach every year.
He's got 8 double-digit win seasons at Iowa. He's 208 and 139 in 24 years at Iowa. And by the way, he was 4-19 his first 2 years, so he was building that thing. Throw out those 2 years. Since then, he's 204 and 120. Yeah. All right, he has a winning record against almost every school in the Big Ten. The only 2, he has a bad record against Ohio State, understandable, 2-9, even though there's been some close ones in that series.
He's qualified for a bowl for 23 straight seasons.
He's got he does have a losing record against Wisconsin, surprisingly, but that is even catching up a little bit because Wisconsin going air raid. I don't know if that's going to work, but he's 7-7 against Michigan. That's regular season record. The 2 games that happened at Lucas Oil, obviously the Big Ten plays pussy ball when it comes to championships, and they don't want to play real Big Ten football.
They probably would have lost those games anyway, to be fair, but Iowa specifically is not built for dome football.
Yeah,
as well they shouldn't be.
Well, the Big Ten in a dome is disgusting.
Right.
It should never fucking happen.
Yeah.
But look at that. He's 14-10 against Iowa State, 9-6 against Nebraska. And I'll have you know that he started off playing Nebraska in the early 2000s in non-con matchups. So Nebraska had a 3-0 lead early, right? Before they even started to play every year.
Yeah.
And like he was building.
He's already closed that gap.
He's already 9-6. Got a winning record against them.
Hello.
10-9 against Penn State, Petty C.
That's impressive.
Everyone thinks Penn State's the 3rd best team in the Big Ten. Not so fast over the past
really
24
impressive.
years. Yeah.
I can't believe they play Penn State that often.
Yeah, well, they would play every year before that crazy expansion.
Oh, that's right.
Pretty much play every year, back then.
That's right.
Now Northwestern
they
gives
only
them
went
trouble.
Divisions in what, like 2010, 2011, 12, somewhere in there. Yeah. That's right.
Northwestern gives them trouble, but that was Pat Fitzgerald more so. He's 12-11 against Northwestern. That one is always tricky.
A little head scratcher there.
8-8 against Michigan State. But those are some really great Michigan State years in the 2010s there. But he has a winning record against everybody else. I mean, even 1-0 against USC, who's in the Big Ten now for some strange reason.
The good folks in Iowa probably love the fact that he is 17-6 against Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a dominating record there. And dude, I mean, including
last year's horseshit loss.
Yeah, absolute horseshit loss. And Jeff Sharp, Iowa fan. Shout out to Jeff. He says Ferentz is a good coach, and so is Brian, but you have to recruit better and find a weapon outside the hashes, or you're forced to call an ultra conservative game. Well, fair, but I mean, you can also go out and get really good players at the skill position and never win 10 games ever again.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech winning 5 games every year. Yeah. All right. So I mean,
stick to your bread and butter. I mean, if it doesn't cost you. I think Michigan did it right, and Wisconsin. You're closer to Wisconsin than you are Michigan. I would say this: Iowa is like basically where Wisconsin had been for however many years. Well, Wisconsin could occasionally get a big play guy, or once in a blue moon, a Russell Wilson at quarterback to make them give them an extra gear. Michigan gets those guys a lot more frequently, but they're all kind of built on that.
But now in the NIL era, like, and I'll be interested. I know Ferentz is old school, but I'd be interested to see if in the coming years, if Ferentz stays, if they give it to Phil Parker or something, I don't know. Would they be able to perhaps, because we saw Missouri be able to get Luther Burden basically because of their NIL package. He wasn't even considering Missouri, I don't think, out the gate.
Yeah, but does Iowa produce that kind of talent to where they're going to have an in-state guy that
you can pay some kid from Chicago a shit ton of money? All right, it's not that far away.
I mean, yeah, with Big Ten money, you're right. That might get them talent over a guy that would end up at the likes of what, like a group of 5 team, like a Cincinnati.
Dude,
well, I guess now
ECU
they're
had Chris Johnson, man. Yeah, they can go high, get someone like that.
Go get some speed, yeah, if you can pay for it.
And I mean, I should note also that during his run, he's got wins over a lot of good programs in bowl games too. And this is when bowl games mattered, like Florida and LSU and South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State. A lot of those were when kids weren't such pussies and they actually played in bowl games. But that's and that was them never getting. They had to go to the South. You know what's happening this year, Patty C? A fucking 12-team playoff. Yeah. Iowa, please get in this thing. I want to see pussy ass Ole Miss come up to Iowa City in December 16th or some shit, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And try to play Big Ten football.
That is a great point. And let me tell you, I've been a Virginia sports fan my whole life. Tony Bennett is the Kirk Ferentz of college basketball. And yes, does it result in some disappointing, performances here and there? Does it result in a lot of got games? Yes, but you stay relevant, you stay close, and occasionally you pop for a big win, which is more than the program could say before Tony Bennett got there by a mile. And Iowa needs to not forget that. But as Colby mentioned, UVA doesn't have that home field advantage like that Iowa is about to get in December over a lot of these teams in the South. So that is something that's going to make a difference moving forward is if they can find themselves in the playoffs. Well,
and imagine if they host a game, because some of these years, if you use the 12-team format over the past 10 years, I was in there a couple years, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, they'd be hosting the game, Patty C, in some situations. So
they actually wouldn't. Their college football playoff final.
Wait,
no, they would.
I was about to say, I was like, I just did a deep dive on this.
2015, only 1 year though.
Okay.
But they're right on the fringe for the last 5 years.
Okay, and then
15s, 16, and 17.
And they would have got in 2009 also. If you go far enough back, 2009 they would have got in.
Yeah, that was before college football playoffs. Yeah, because they were number 7.
They won the Orange Bowl in 2009.
I mean, if you think about it, before that, 2002 they finished number 8 in the AP. 2003 number 8. 2004 number 8. So
2009, yeah, they would have been hosting a lot of them then. Yeah,
that's true.
And that makes, and then look, you win that, then you play a team that's got a bye week that wins the Big 12, like I don't know, a 4-loss Kansas State team. Next thing you know, Kirk Ferentz is finally getting the proper respect. I'm sick of all this
cold
shit.
As shit in Iowa City,
36th, whatever
December.
It is. Fuck out of here.
Yeah,
fucking don't know shit about football. Anyway, let's break this thing down. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the Iowa Hawkeyes season previews brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount, and you can now use specials on boost and on all flexed entries. So don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Sign up, and when you do sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN, you'll get a special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. So what are you doing, folks? They got college football. They got college basketball. It's the dog days of summer. I'm playing MLB and CFL every day. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions pick 5 NFL teams ATS each week and compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked yet for Las Vegas before the football season starts? May I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend? It's a great time to go out. If you do, you can hang out with my pals Ryan Real Money Kramer and Shot Stacking the Money Green and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. So do that, and remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right. And another thing is, Patty C, back to before we break down the offense here, they never have really bad losses. Like, okay, those are the bad losses I could come up with. And Western Michigan did happen twice. One was in a bowl game, but
does North Dakota State count as a bad loss depending on that year?
Yeah, I mean they still won the FCS championship that year, but Still coming into it, Iowa's favored. You're a power. You're in the Big Ten.
You don't want to lose that one. Yeah.
But still, like, compared to, we've been doing this for all these previews. It's like this is one of the better ones. They normally take care of business. Loss, they normally take care of business against these. And Northern Illinois was good that year too. So
that's crazy for a team that plays in that many close games to not wind up on the wrong side of it more often than they have. That shows insane game management ability by Ferentz. I mean, that Minnesota game last year, we were narrating it as it was happening.
Well, we knew it was going to happen. I was like, watch. When Iowa had the ball, they punt.
Yeah, well, we were like,
we knew like a possession. We
They're
were a
not
possession
going to get it
before.
on offense.
Yeah,
don't try and go for it. Punt it and then try and get it on special teams. Yeah. You were calling that out,
and it hit. And it hit, and it should have hit, and they got robbed. And the fucking Big Ten and Tony Petitti's bitch ass. I'm joking. Tony Petitti. I don't have any hate for Tony Petitti. It's more so Kevin Warren.
Yeah, I agree. But that took a knowledge of what they had, and on the flip side of that, once that got called back, and what was it, 2 plays later that Deacon Hill threw the interception, maybe the next play. That took a lack of knowledge. I think offensively they are just like obviously completely inept, but in terms of game management, generally speaking, they find ways to win these close games.
Yeah. Looking back at the offense last year, it was something. 129th in scoring offense, 15.4 points per game.
I do believe that's an improvement though, right? In the national rankings.
Yeah, and the quarterback knocked that out of the 4th game. 14th in the Big Ten. They were 130th. There was 133 teams. There was. I know a lot of people think there's only 130. They weren't dead last. Yeah, they were 4th to last.
Baby steps, Colby. Another 100 years at this pace.
They were 127th in passing. They threw for a cool $118 a game. Dead last in the Big Ten. They were 107th in rushing. That should be better. 11th in the Big Ten though. And as Jeff says, it was by far the worst offensive team last year, and they still won 10 games. So they averaged 15.4 points per game, but they gave up what? It was like they gave up 14 points a game. So they're winning every game by an average of 1 point. Fantastic work. The offense, Patty C, though, returns 10 starters. So Tim Lester walks in to a situation, and I am a fan of Tim Lester. You go back to when he was the coach at Western Michigan. Now, yes, had the program fallen off, he was part of the staff with PJ Fleck, and Fleck had that thing at an unbelievably high level.
Yeah.
After that, he was making bowl games. Like I understand they fired him because they just had the Fleck thing. They want to capitalize on, can we win MAC championships? But at the same time, like that offense was impressive. I remember the year that Pitt won the ACC. Western Michigan went into that filthy neutral site stadium in Pittsburgh where the Steelers play, Heinz Stadium, where it should be Pitt Stadium, but they went in there, half empty crowd, and they fucking scored like 40-some points on one of the better.
Yeah.
Like, that defense was good, man.
Yeah.
And
ultimate Pitt moment there.
Classic Pitt moment. Classic Narduzzi.
Pitt is like the same team as Iowa, except they come out on the wrong side of the close games. Whereas Iowa finds a way to win them.
Yeah, well, no, because Pitt's coaching. It's we're down 7 with 30 seconds. Let's kick the field goal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But as a head coach, Lester was qualified for the bowls in for 5 out of the 6 seasons he was at Western Michigan, and then that last season he just went 5-7. So.
But I thought the offenses were always solid. That's why it's encouraging to me. If you are an Iowa fan, I do think this is an upgrade at offense. You know what else is an upgrade is returning 10 starters and getting Cade McNamara. If you followed college football over the past couple years, these super experienced quarterbacks are the ones that are winning championships and for a lot of them Heisman trophies and stuff too. You go back to Joe Burrow, he was long in the tooth, his best year. But obviously, Bo Nix last season, Michael Penix, Stetson Bennett was in college for a solid decade. So it'd be like the experienced quarterbacks are paying off. So Cade McNamara back, maybe him and Lester could do some things.
Tell you what, I mean, let's hope it's an improvement because during his 3 years at Michigan, he was 26 touchdowns. Sorry, I'm getting 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Don't give me a Lou Holt sound effect here.
I was about to.
20.
Well, I don't get
21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I'm trying to do math here. I'm inept at math. But okay, so a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Then he goes 1 year at Iowa, four touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The fuck is that? His pass completion percentage at Michigan was 64% while he was a starter, dropped to 51% last year. So it's not him. It is the offense.
No, Lester's going to make it better, though. And I can tell you this. You know what's great? Returning your whole offensive line. The entire offensive line is back. Also, Luke Lachey and Addison Ostrenga, who's back at the tight ends. They always got great tight ends, Patty C. Kaleb Brown at wide receiver back, the former Ohio State Buckeye transfer. Leshon Williams back at the running back spot. And I know they're excited about Kamari Moulton. I could be butchering his name, but he had a big spring. Patty C, I'm sold. This offense will be much improved from a year ago. What did I say it was? How many points? 16, 15? What was it? 15.4?
15.6, 15.4, somewhere in there.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. 19.
Bold statement.
19.
Not over 20. You're not getting that crazy.
Maybe 20.
Wow.
We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see. We'll go on the schedule.
Look at that. This guy going out on the ledge. See, even I feel like Ferentz will rein it in. If he starts throwing the ball all over the field, Ferentz will be like, "Hey, dude,
yeah,
you're leaving too much time on the clock. You know, we got
to walk it off.
Yeah,
hit the showers."
Are you already talking about returning starters? Williams and Caleb Johnson have been the 2 leading rushers for both of the last 2 years.
And I know Moulton is a guy they're excited about, or I don't know how to pronounce Moulton. One of the Voltron. Yeah. But look, I think the offense is going to be. They got a guy named Colby also. That's always a bonus. Then you look at what they lost in the portal. Your boy Deacon Hill and Spencer Petras went. They went to the great state of Utah, both of them. And everyone. Okay, you lost Jacob Bostic, a wide receiver to A&M. He was like, man, we threw 3 passes last year. I'm out of here. Caden Proctor. I don't even know if that counts. He's from Iowa. He goes to Alabama's freshman year. He transfers for it's not a loss.
He didn't play a game, right? He was there
ridiculous.
for what?
Just the winter semester.
Yeah.
Fucking jackass. Anyway,
he's from Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Proctor?
Glad to see your parents are telling you about making decisions and sticking to them.
Right.
But Patty C, I'm kind of bullish on, and I'll talk about what they did in the portal too. That I think it was smart. But before I do that, I want to tell you the Iowa Hawkeyes season preview on the College Football Experience is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data to help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. So claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right. And here we go. They didn't really lose anybody, right? I mean, Petras, Deacon Hill, they're good for about 20 interceptions a season, right?
Yeah, I would say that's addition by subtraction.
Maybe you can make a point of Bostic going to A&M. Elko, I always feel like knows good talent.
Let me see. Our lads has Brendan Sullivan.
That's what's coming in.
So
we're talking about what's leaving.
Right. I'm just saying from a depth standpoint. Obviously, you got to say that McNamara would have been the starter last year. So it's hard to say. Well, all I'm saying is that
young Sullivan,
the quarterback room's in a much better spot than it was last year.
Yes, certainly, and especially with Tim Lester there.
Yeah.
They didn't add anybody on defense. They just loaded up on offense, and this is loading up for Iowa standards because they normally never use the portal. Brendan Sullivan coming in from Northwestern. Hey man, this guy there were some games I was actually impressed with his play at Northwestern. I think it was 2 years ago. Last year he threw 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That right there, that looks like an all-star in Iowa standards. No, I guess the year before was 4-3, but why do I remember one game specifically where I thought he played really well? I don't know, but I can tell you this: it's got to be better. It's an upgrade by default.
Yeah. Deacon Hill's probably even worse than Spencer
I love
Petras.
Deacon Hill.
I like him too, but he's not very good.
Don't you? I will not stand for this. All right. Utah Tech's winning the fucking FCS national championship, as far as I'm concerned. But yes, young Sullivan comes in there, and because McNamara's injury, who knows if it's going to take a little time. Maybe Sullivan has to start a game or two. They also got Jackson Stratton from Colorado State. They run the air raid there. Hey, whoa. They brought in Jacob Gill for another wide receiver. They're just raiding Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
I got your flying squirrel for you. All right.
North Dakota State keeping it local.
North Dakota fighting Hawks.
Oh,
yeah. Cade Borid on the offensive line coming in. So love what they did there. I'm going to say they won the portal. Bringing in two quarterbacks that I've seen Sullivan. Stratton can't be worse, right?
Well,
he can't be worse.
Did we
than
look at their
Petras.
losses on offense already?
Yeah.
Let's go back to their losses.
He can't be worse than Petras, though, right?
No, he
So
cannot.
that's what I'm saying. Their losses. The only one that stands out to me is maybe Bostic to A&M with Elko, because Proctor was never there. Proctor doesn't count.
Yeah, I would
All
say
right?
just by Deacon Hill and Spencer Petras leaving, it doesn't matter if you brought in nobody. You won the transfer portal. But the fact that you're able to bring in dudes that are not those guys, I don't even know what to expect. A guy with 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions at Northwestern, let alone, that Northwestern is similar in their offensive ineptitude as Iowa is. If he can replicate this 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, Iowa will be a national championship contender.
I'm just buying in, man. And then the defense. This was the easiest work I had to do. They're 4th in everything. 4th in scoring per game, which is 4th in the Big Ten. 7th in the nation in yards, 4th in the Big Ten. 5th in pass defense nationally, 4th in the Big Ten. 15th in rush defense nationally, 4th in the Big Ten.
Big Ten likes its defense.
Yes. Now Cooper DeJean, he's off to the Philadelphia Eagles. But Patty C. Phil Parker is a fucking genius. First off.
Yeah.
This defense returns 8 starters, and do I need to add in this nugget, which I just found phenomenal? This Iowa team, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can identify this thing. They have 4 6-year grad students on this team, and 4 5th-year, and almost all of those are on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, this defense is going to be incredible.
Between those 8 players, I'm no mathematician, but 4 times that's 44 years of football in between 8 players. That's a veteran roster if I've ever heard of one.
I mean, dude, their defense is awesome with underclassmen some years. Can you imagine? Like, this is going to be a dominant. Just off the top of my head, just knowing that they bring back so many pieces of experience, they're going to be like, but maybe Georgia. Other than Georgia, I mean, maybe you could sell me on Michigan, but I think I would take Iowa over Michigan right now because of how much returning production. They're gonna be the best defense in the nation, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, let me say this: as amazing as Cooper DeJean, what have you, was at Iowa, he hasn't even been like the best defensive back in that room for multiple years. Yeah. Maybe for 2, but I think there were other guys that were also. Who's the guy that wore 33 before? And I'm drawing a blank on his name. Maybe he was drafted.
I mean, they always got.
I'm
guys,
sure.
Man.
Riley Moss.
Yeah,
and was drafted in 2023.
You should have said the white guy that wore 33.
Well, that's all of them.
Yeah. Well, no, they have guys back to fucking the days of Bob Sanders. They've been putting out great defensive backs.
I'm just saying.
Xavier Wampa is a stud. How about like I was doing some prep on the NFL draft next year. All 3 linebackers for Iowa that are projected to start. All NFL draft picks next year.
All 3 linebackers
projected to be NFL draft picks. They're dude. This defense is going to be fucking nasty. They did lose their punter though, who's a fucking stud. But Drew Stevens is back in the kicking game.
Taylor, yeah, wasn't he like getting votes for like National Player of the Year or something? Or there was a buzz about that on Twitter. Yeah, that he was Heisman worthy.
Dude, look at this defense. YouTube.com/@thecollegeexperience. But I mean, there's not where are you concerned? I'm not. They just, you could say they only bring back 2 on the D line, but they just load up in general. Phil Parker's always got the next guy. This defense is going to be a fucking force, man.
Yeah. Nick Jackson, 110 tackles, 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 4 passes defense. That's a beast. Sebastian Castro, 8 passes defense, 3 interceptions. Yeah, dude,
it's gonna be I laugh at just people that think that a lot of people push that narrative. Big Ten West is over. I was never going to be good again. We'll see about that. We'll see about that, buddy.
Curious to dive into this schedule here and see how we think they're going to fare.
They did lose a couple guys, but no one substantial. 3 guys that haven't even landed at other schools. Ontario Thompson on the D line went to Western Michigan, and Brendan D. Fernandez to CMU, Central Michigan. They didn't add anybody in the portal on defense because you don't need to fix it up when your defense is awesome.
Yeah.
Win total, Patty C. 7.5 wins.
Our lads, by the way, shows no. Did we say they had a incoming defensive transfer?
No,
none. Kirk Ferentz doesn't want it.
Yeah,
it's just build and next man up and develop.
Patty C, I see the win total at 7.5. The fuck is that? I am going to put a shit ton of money on the over. What am I missing here? I also think if you're an Iowa fan, shout out to Jeff and Sean and some of the others that I know are Iowa fans here. Why are you not playing the plus 600 to make the 12-team playoff?
Good question.
That's great odds on a defense that is the oldest defense in the history of the Kirk Ferentz era.
And has been a top 5 defense in the country for years.
And you got rid of, you brought in a guy that has had successful offenses before. What am I missing here?
Yeah, it seems. I mean, as gung ho as we've been about Iowa in the past, at first glance here, it seems even more likely that they have a great year here.
And it's juiced. I mean, look, it's juiced to the over. It's like minus 150 on DK, and shop around. You can find a little bit lower, plus 130 to the under. But I don't give a shit. Bet the hell out of this. Let's go through the schedule because it just doesn't make any sense to me how this is what I mean though, is like it becomes a pun. And like I have a hard time turning on like other college football podcasts or other college football shows when they just think they think Iowa sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're a fucking idiot, man. They're really good. Okay. Yes, their offense. It doesn't try to be exotic.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't try and produce impressive stats. It tries to produce wins, and it is very successful in doing that.
I'm betting the hell out of this. I've already bet this, but I'm going to bet it again, I think, when I'm in Vegas next week at Mountain West Media Day.
Yeah, it's smart. They haven't had less than 8 wins. In the COVID year, they went 6-2. So they were on pace to go, 9-3?
Yeah.
So they would have gone over 7.5 wins there, or 8.
And they would have benefited from having home fans, too. So they might even won less, or they might have lost less.
Other than that, just one time since 2015 did they not get to 8 wins in the regular season. So this is pretty much a guarantee based on recent history. They got to 7-5 in 2017 and then won their bowl game to get to 8. But other than that, they've hit 8 or more in every other season since 2015, which is what?
The hell am I missing?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 of the last 9 years.
What the hell am I missing here? Let's look at that schedule. Week 1, the Illinois State Redbirds are coming into town out of the FCS. 1-0. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Week 2, Matt Campbell and Iowa State come in with Rocco Beck.
Ooh, so you are very scared of Iowa State, or is the schedule that easy in your opinion?
Well, if you look at his track record against Iowa State, he is just 14-10 in 24 matchups.
And that's before Campbell got there.
And these games are always insane. Yeah. But like Iowa State won the last time in Iowa City.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Iowa has their number. I feel like he has Campbell's number by a little bit.
Well, I mean, we've talked about winning close games. They have I want to look at the wins of PD. I feel like there was like a high scoring game that they won close.
44-41 was one.
It's like the highest scoring game in Iowa history.
That was like a while ago, though.
Still found a way to win that one. But yeah, generally speaking, he has his number.
And you have like now, before I was thinking this could be anyone's game. Then you realize how many super seniors are back for Iowa. I'm sorry, Iowa State's not winning this in Iowa City. This is going to be
probably not
17-14. Iowa wins in Iowa City.
17-13. Iowa wins in a blowout.
I got them 2-0. Then the Troy Trojans come in. They obviously Gerard Parker year one there. 3-0. Patty C in the non-con. You?
Yeah, I mean Troy.
They lost
up and down.
If it was last year's Troy, I would say maybe that would be a game.
In Iowa City, still probably not, but it's early enough in the season that weather won't be a factor. Still, Iowa clearly the much better team here.
3-0.
Yeah.
Then they're at Minnesota. Now Fleck had never beaten Ferentz before last year's garbage.
I want to go to Winsipedia and see what this.
Well, Fleck at Minnesota. I think he might have got him at Western Michigan, but at Minnesota, I believe Fleck had never got him. I have Iowa winning this one, man. What is this one?
63-52
Floyd
all time
Rosedale, right?
in Iowa's favor. Several close games. I mean, obviously last year was a 2-pointer. The year before was a 3-pointer in Iowa's favor. Year before that was a 5-pointer in Iowa's favor.
Well, every game Iowa's played in the past 20 years has been a 3-point game.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 of the last 5 games here have been decided by 4 points or less in this series. But Iowa continuously tends to get the better of Minnesota. I expect that trend to get back on track, especially if McNamara is healthy.
Especially with his defense, and especially knowing that they lost last season in that cockanimi way. I think all the players are pissed about that.
Yeah, this is circled.
Yeah,
this is circled.
I got him 4-0.
I do too.
Next up, they get a bye week, and then they head to Columbus to take on Ohio State. They'll lose this.
They will lose that. I'm curious what Ohio State has coming before that. Ohio State has a road trip to Michigan State the week before, and even more importantly, a road trip to Oregon the following week. So the look ahead
spot. It's not gonna happen here, man.
I mean, look, Will Howard is probably a pretty good quarterback, but I have seen Ohio State and white quarterbacks aren't exactly unbeatable these days. I mean, I can't say that they weren't pretty good last year.
Fucking Craig Krenzel.
Honda McCord though, still had them pretty good there. Yes, Ohio State will likely wipe the walls with Iowa in this game.
Are we awaiting an SGPN article about how Ohio State the reason why they aren't winning national championships is their move to the white quarterback?
It might be.
I can appreciate this one.
I mean, I feel like they tried it. They're like Joe Burrow, get out of here.
I like this,
but I still think they did.
Joe Burrow just sit on the bench. You sit on the fucking bench. All right. You're only here because your dad's a linebacker coach at Iowa, or I'm sorry, at Ohio, the Bobcats.
That's right.
Buddy, so we're 4-1, right?
4-1.
Home to Washington.
This is a huge game.
They're gonna fuck up Washington.
They will probably get the better.
Washington's gonna be horrible this year. I think. The more I do a deep dive on Washington, the more I think they're gonna be trash this year.
I'm gonna have to take your word on that. Yes, they have lost talent, and yes, Washington can be a volatile program when they haven't, got it fully dialed in. And so that suggests, especially going into Iowa City, that this game's going to be trouble. So we both expect to win here.
Definitely. This is one of the auto wins for me.
Wow.
Then they're at Michigan State. I do think Jonathan Smith will get somebody.
Yeah, this is a dangerous game. You said, what is it, 10-10 all time or 8-8?
8-8 all time.
8-8 all time under Ferentz against Michigan State.
But here's the thing: I still think I think Michigan State is going to get someone like November that they're not supposed to. So I'm taking this one. I'm giving it to Iowa because they're starting. Aiden Childs is I think a highly talented guy, but he's never seen a defense like Iowa's.
Yeah, so it's too early for Michigan State to get a win like this, but I expect this series to resume its competitiveness moving forward.
Yeah. So Patty C, right there, we got them at 6-1, and they're home to Northwestern. Now they do lead the all-time series with Ferentz against Northwestern, but it's close. But look, I do believe no Fitzgerald is a great thing for Iowa fans. I have them winning this one too.
Although again, Brown did pretty darn well. Braun,
yeah,
replacing.
Yeah, this is another one though that I have. I have Northwestern being pretty shitty this year.
You would presume, especially given Northwestern's history of having an up year and a down year, that they are due
they
for
won
a down
so
year.
many toss-up games last year. I just feel like it's unsustainable.
Yeah. So 6-1, 7-1,
7-1, and
Wow.
then the Wisconsin Badgers come in. And look, before this would be the one that you would say that this is the one they're not going to get. I got them beating Wisconsin because I don't think that cockamamie offense is going to work in that weather.
Yeah, I mean we're talking November 2nd at this point.
If it was in Madison, maybe, but I don't know. Iowa fucked them up in Madison last year.
I am curious to see what the recent history in this series has been. I will get that pulled up if I can learn to type. All time, it is 49-46 with 2 ties in Wisconsin's favor. Iowa
49-47, buddy.
Iowa has gotten 3 of the last 4. Although the last one that was played in Madison. Wait, this one's in. Where is this being played?
This is Iowa City.
Iowa City.
Yeah.
So they have gotten the last 2 in Iowa City. Maybe it'll be number 3 in a row that they get there. I'm gonna lean Iowa too, although I could see a very competitive game here.
I don't think so. I think Wisconsin. I mean, it'll be competitive because it's Iowa.
Yeah,
Well, every game will be close, but I'm saying like Wisconsin to me is in like regression to me.
We'll see, because I feel like when you have been running the same thing, imagine Iowa going to the air raid, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to take more than 1 year after all the time. That's essentially what Wisconsin did.
Wisconsin
last year.
hasn't won in Iowa since 2018.
2016, 2018. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm not taking them, especially with this foo-foo offense they're running there.
I'm gonna go Iowa as well. Although I expect Wisconsin to have that thing dialed in a little bit better. I don't know that they are incapable of like making that work long term. Phil Longo has a pretty good track record of offense. You know,
It's got a pretty good track record of teams going 7-5 too. After that, they head to the Rose Bowl. Call me crazy. For some reason, this game scares me more than any game left on the schedule.
yes, of course.
I think this is the one they lose.
If I'm not mistaken, they have a terrible all-time record in Los Angeles, right?
I think so.
I want to say they're like 0-6
sure.
all time or something in Los Angeles. They don't travel well. Colby and I were talking on the way over here, and
We're
just
listening to some shit about that. I'm so excited about the new Big Ten.
Yeah.
Really? I'm not.
yeah. I mean, I could see though the folks in Iowa, you know, maybe in like the 1930s who hadn't seen anything but a tractor, you know, going to Los Angeles and be like, "Oh my gosh, this country! Wow!" But good, it's 2024. We don't. This the magic
This
of
game is stupid.
the Midwest
This is a
versus the
stupid
West
game.
does not hold up anymore.
Now they haven't been to LA since '86. By the way,
Was that Ronnie Harmon?
that was
So the last time Iowa
that was revenge.
played UCLA,
Actually, you know what? I am going to take them.
this
all
is a 38 year wait for the revenge game. Wow.
I mean, this is the one though that they could drop.
Wait.
To me, like if you're looking for that second loss, I think it could be this one. I don't think it's.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right. They haven't played since 1986. That's wild. It was Iowa State that had the gambling problem last year. I was about to say maybe it's like gonna rear its ugly head again. It kind of already did, but
Jeff Sharp cracking me up. He's like, they went from tractors to chicks with dicks. Hey, welcome to Los Angeles.
no
Look at
wonder
this
you're
chick's dick.
taking losses. That's not a transition anyone's ready to make. No pun intended. Hello.
Oh man, buddy. I mean, I do think it's a scary game, and I'm still taking Iowa. I mean, maybe you sell me on this one. This record kind of screams 10-2 to me, but I think Iowa's better than UCLA from a coaching standpoint. Deshaun Foster's never coached a game as a head coach.
Yeah.
So I gotta favor Iowa.
Yeah. In a one-off.
They might even have the crowd.
Yeah, probably. I mean, depending on how excited they are to get off the farm. The bye week is
They
nice.
get a bye week on November 16th.
This
then
is
they
a
head to College
well-placed
Park.
bye week because you break up the back-to-back
But
road.
he's had Maryland's number.
But you have long travel. You have the West Coast and then the East Coast in back-to-back weeks. Amazing job putting the bye right in between those.
Loxley has yet to beat Ferentz. It's not happening here.
Yeah. doubt it. Although, again, you go to a far trip against a team that has gotten better. We expect Maryland to regress some. I think Iowa should be careful a little bit here, but I do think they get the win.
And then the home game against Nebraska at the end of the season. This is tricky though, because I feel like Nebraska's defense is good, and by this point, Raiola, the freshman,
will probably have figured out the offense.
Yeah,
and Rule is a coach that tends to improve, during the course of his tenure.
I'll say this: between UCLA, Maryland, and Nebraska, give me one loss.
I think they're having 2 losses on this.
Yes,
I'd be surprised if they got to 11. I mean, Vegas thinks they are getting 7.5,
what
maybe
the fuck
8.
is that? But they thought last year and they won 10.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Maybe it's recency bias on our part, but
no,
the recency.
It's because the narrative. It's because it's a pun to make fun of their offense.
Yeah,
right. Everyone's doing it, but they fucking win every year.
Right.
So this is a smash, dude. And Jeff's asking, what's the chances they give the Buckeyes a game? I don't think it's very good, but.
I mean,
they could beat Ohio State if it was in Iowa City.
Yeah,
But
I'll say this. It's too early, early October 5th, for the weather to play in Iowa's favor. Ohio State will probably still be able to throw the ball around the field, and that spells trouble for Iowa.
They keep emphasizing. Ohio State keeps emphasizing that they want to become a grounded pound team. That's why they went out and got Judkins.
Well, they certainly have the personnel for
it. That helps Iowa. Though, if they're trying to do more grounded pound,
I think I would have to look to make sure I was correct on that. But if you look at Michigan's recent history against Iowa, I feel like those games have been closer, right?
Yeah. Now, Patty C, if you take out the ones in Indianapolis, you're right. But we did all this talking. The world did all this talking, even here on the show. Why would Big Ten teams? Especially Big Ten West teams vote in.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Michigan, who plays a smash mouth style of football, 3-point game in 2013, 1-point game in 2016, 7-point game in 2019, and a 13-point game in 2022. Now last year they got smashed, but that was in Indianapolis. So anytime they play another smash mouth team, even at the quality of Michigan, which Ohio State, when playing smash mouth football, is probably about the same.
Let's talk about this too. I think you got something going here. Will Howard, I like Will Howard. He's a gamer, but he's not the definition of an accurate passing quarterback to me. And Jeff Sharp's got a good point here. It's early in the season. Our defense is 24-year-old. The average age is 24-year-olds. I will say that, like, Will Howard traditionally, he'll throw some 50-50 balls.
Will Howard has 15, 22, 34 games under his belt at this point in his career, and he's still a career 58.8%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I like his game. I'm a fan of quarterbacks that play like that. He runs, he'll dive for that first down and take a hit.
Yeah.
But he definitely throws some questionable balls out there.
48 to 25 career touchdown interception ratio, 2-1 essentially. That plays in Iowa's favor. That means they're probably going to get several picks off of him in that game if he plays like he normally does. Now I think Ohio State will probably help him, but I don't think Kyle McCord magically became like an elite passer with Ohio.
True.
I mean, he had some good games, but
buddy, I was trying to make this point before you brought that up.
Sorry.
We did all this talking, and not only we, as in this show, because I still don't. It doesn't make sense for me why, like, every school in the Big Ten not named Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State would vote yes on USC, Oregon, UCLA, and Washington. It still makes no fucking sense to me.
Why they would vote yes?
Yeah.
I'm sure they see the movement of college football and the threat of the SEC.
I think for their programs, though.
Yeah, individually.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm having a meeting, you're not looking. College sports, they never care about the best interest of the overall sport. They're looking at. Hey, what are we doing here for Rutgers? Right.
I would say, it's certainly not for the overall sport, but maybe for their conference, which by nature is in their best interest.
A plus B equals C. Like, you have to get winning seasons so you have fan interest.
I agree with that.
And I think they're forgetting that.
But still, like the likes of Vanderbilt, they know their bread isn't buttered with football. And so I think they're voting yes every time.
Vanderbilt is
they're a special case. Yeah, I think you're right. For the teams that are just under Ohio State and Michigan, Like Ohio State and Michigan, they're okay with those coming on because
even Penn State, I think, is
they
okay
can compete with them.
Yeah.
Right. The likes of Iowa, you would think would be like, yeah, I like where I'm at. Finding myself in the Big Ten championship game every few years. What I'm guessing you're going to say is that's a lot less likely to happen now that.
Well, I wonder that, and I still wonder that, but not this year because I can tell you this: I see this schedule. I know Ohio State plays at Oregon and home to Michigan. I know Oregon plays home to Ohio State and at Michigan. Does Oregon get Penn State? I can't recall. Michigan has to go they have to go to Ohio
Michigan
State.
has a lot.
That's what I'm saying. My point is I think Iowa's going to be the Big Ten championship. I think we're going to have either the winner of the Ohio State Oregon game will probably play Iowa in the Big Ten championship.
Oregon doesn't get Penn State, by the way. They have to go to Wisconsin. But you're saying Iowa will get the winner of Michigan, Ohio State?
Iowa's in a decent spot to make the Big Ten championship. I don't know how they haven't announced how these tiebreakers are going to work.
Yeah. Oh, but you're saying Oregon, Ohio State, the winner of that game.
I'm saying okay. Let's say Iowa does go 11-1. We just favor them in 11 games, right?
Yeah. Very possible they go 11-1.
Yes. If they go 11-1 with their one loss being at Ohio State, but Ohio State is 11-1 with their one loss being to Oregon, but Oregon's 11-1, right? Or you can come up with another thing of saying what happens if Iowa State what if Ohio State loses a second game, or if Oregon loses a second game because they play Michigan
in a 3-way tie situation between Iowa, Oregon, and Ohio State? It sounds like that would favor everyone but Iowa. Yeah, but assuming that Oregon could take 2 losses.
Well, what if Oregon loses to Ohio State and Michigan?
Yeah,
because that's possible. At Michigan. So then you're sitting there saying,
"Yeah,
hey,
a one-loss." I think a one-loss Iowa team is making the Big Ten championship, especially with the loss being to Ohio State. Unless it is Oregon and Ohio State, which I guess would be the 2 teams that are currently favored. I'm assuming to be in the Big Ten championship. If the one tiebreaker in that Iowa has against those 2 teams is the loss to Ohio State.
But you almost don't. If I'm Iowa, I don't want to make the Big Ten championship. I want to go to 11-1 and miss, like I just said.
Right.
But it'd be hilarious because if they made the Big Ten championship because they did all this crazy shit, they're like, we'll never have the Big Ten West in there again, and then I was in there. But imagine you go 11-1, you miss the Big Ten championship.
You're a 6 seed.
And that's what I'm saying. And you're hosting,
or a 5 seed, maybe.
Yeah. You're going to be hosting like Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
In Iowa City, and then there's a good chance. I don't know. Do they re-rank after the first round?
I am not sure about that yet.
I mean, this is going to be great, man.
But if they don't re-rank, then you're getting, Liberty in the first round, say, and then Oklahoma State in the second round. They could beat Oklahoma State,
easily.
Yeah.
No, but Drip Tona in the chat. But I'm saying like you almost don't want to make the Big Ten championship. Like you want to go 11-1 or 10-2 because that's in the Big Ten. That's getting you in.
Yeah, all that going to the Big Ten championship and losing does for Iowa is lower their seed or kick them out of the playoffs. If they have 2 losses and that gives them a 3rd loss, then that might cost them a playoff spot. If they have 1 loss and they go to 2 losses after the Big Ten championship,
it's and in the Big Ten championship where you have that dome,
it's not.
It's a bad look. The committee could say, they're not worthy of it.
Now let's look at real quick Ohio State's schedule. We're going to do their preview beforehand, but we're assuming the game at Oregon is the big threat. And if they
the Michigan game too, they got to prove to me.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They could easily have 2 losses.
Yeah,
it could easily be Iowa again in the Big Ten championship.
Iowa versus Oregon in the Big Ten championship.
It's gonna be so fucking hilarious if so. But I want Iowa to host a playoff game, specifically Iowa. Kinnick Stadium's incredible, and I think it'd be perfect for college football. And I think they'll win. And I think if they don't reseed, we don't know. I think them playing Kansas State in the second round or playing Oklahoma State, I think they would have a great chance of winning that game. And then that puts you in the 3rd round, and if you win that, you're in the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, presumably they get the ACC or in the SEC or
who knows
Big Ten
though?
champion.
Once that shit starts going, who knows?
There could be upsets.
They could get Notre Dame in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
It's going to be fantastic. They should have done this playoff.
Wouldn't it
so
be
long
great
ago.
if Cade McNamara,
Cade
McNamara, sorry, finds himself in the national championship, or at least back in the semifinals.
Yeah. He wins it.
That'd be great.
This is a smash spot. Give me the over. But one thing I want to mention is plus 600 to make the 12-team playoff. Patty C, we just said 11-1 or 10-2. They're going to the 12-team playoff. Why would you not bet plus 600? I'm betting that when I'm in Vegas next week.
It is very likely. It looks like at this point, knock on wood, that Iowa ends up in that playoff.
Let's go. Folks, that's our show. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at Patty C831. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. We are the College Football Experience, and wait, how do we do this? How do I go back to what we had before? I don't understand what's going on here. There we go. Give us a follow. YouTube.com/the College Experience. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. And shout out to the Iowa Hawkeyes, man. I've never been this excited. This is what I mean. The 12-team playoff. I was doing a radio spot, a TV spot on VSiN 2 nights ago, and
Jake Rudock, that was the quarterback that went from Iowa to Michigan.
Yeah. So I was doing this TV spot, and by the way, we have another show coming up on College Football Experience at 5:30. But I was doing this TV spot, and it was like the host. I don't think he was a huge college football fan, or if he's like. Or he's disgusted by what's going on. He's like, "Why is college football like? Where are you at? It's gonna this 12-team playoff, all these conferences. It's not gonna be that like it's not that exciting this year, right?" I go, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I've never been more excited for an Iowa football season in my entire fucking life. You know what I mean? Like this bigger playoff is so much better for the sport. It's so much better
for the people who relish the Iron Bowl or the game having all the meaning in the whole season and no one else really having a chance, but they have that moment that they can rely on, being epic every year. Yeah, it goes down just a hair. But for everyone else, the likes of an Iowa fan or anyone that, supports Iowa or even a second tier of football, way more exciting of a season at hand here.
And everyone deserves that chance. We know the scheduling discrepancies over the years where Iowa State would have to play a month on the road and Oklahoma hasn't played back-to-back away games in like 10 years. Yeah. So it's better for the sport, folks. All right. I can't wait to do the rest of the Big Ten. Have a happy 4th of July, folks. It's pretty awesome to be able to come in and talk college football year round. So we're grateful that you listen to us, and go have a good 4th. Stay safe. Have a few cocktails, light a few M80s.
Yeah.
All right.
Get your
Don't
hands
pull
back.
was it Justin Tuck?
Yeah.
No, who was it? Was that it was not Justin Tuck.
OC Human, who was
it? It was Pierre.
Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah. Don't do that. All right. Unless you're really medicated. Might not hurt that much if you're really medicated.
Don't do that.
SGPN app, free in the App Store, Google Play Store. Get that. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast. For more on Kinnick Stadium, check out the Big Ten Stadium Heads podcast edition. Stadium Heads, where we talk about the history of college football stadiums.
Dude, greatest.
Yes. Greatest Americans? Sure, I'll take that.
You're up
Let's
there.
go.
Yeah,
college football campus tour and myself.
Excluded, obviously. Hello.
Until next time, folks, we'll be back in 15 minutes with a look into November's college football slate.
Hello.
So check it out. College Football Experience. YouTube.com/the College Football Experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, this is the Iowa Hawkeyes season preview. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.